Okay, thank you very much. And the final session will be short. It has been a long day with quite interesting discussions and presentations. It's difficult to summarize it, but we have some people in the room who have made notes, so we will produce a report of this meeting, this second FIRE forum. What I would like to do is to quickly have a round among the session leaders to see what they thought are some interesting observations from their session. So the first session was on experimenting and piloting on Internet of Things. So that already discussed the role of testbed facilities in the domain of Internet of Things. And Michael Nielsen was the moderator of that session. Michael, would you be able to shortly summarize some of your impressions and observations from that session?
Absolutely. Some reflections and insights from my side. Yuichi started with presenting an impressive lot of activities ongoing in Japan, and I couldn't help thinking, Per, you're very lucky for tomorrow. You have 25 reasons to discuss and put on the agenda. 25 activities, experimental activities ongoing only in October in Japan. So what is happening in Europe? Kay continued with describing the rely on IT. And actually, the reflection here from my side is even Mother Nature comes into the picture when we talk about test beds. Temperatures in roads during night and days. We have to bring in that aspect also. Alex described the Tresimo with connection to South Africa. And he mentioned it, or described this as a small project, but I couldn't help reflecting on the motivation for the project. Developing a standard, compliant, secure, reliable, smart infrastructure software stack. Small project. Yes, good luck. It was impressive. And Sebastian, have the crowd as a driver of research. Very interesting approach. This is, let's say, the main reflections from my side, which I bring with me. Not to mention all the discussion and questions during the discussion part. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. The second session went into 5G, how to cooperate for mutual benefits, and also positioned testbeds in that domain of 5G. Very lively discussion and presentations. And Paulo, can you share us your reflections?
My reflections, a summary of these discussions on the 5G testbeds. Okay, I think there is clear there is two roles. You have the FIRE activities that are driven by research, and here from the analysis that we did, I think in terms of 5G elements, in terms of wireless, I think millimeter waves, visible light communications, massive MIMO are testbeds that are missing in your portfolio. So I would suggest that maybe in the future open calls you can complement this gap in the current portfolio. So the nice thing is that they're very open for research and for SMEs. On the other hand, we have the 5GPP. Here we had Maurizio from Telecom Italia representing industry, and this tends to be more close, and with the IPR issues, it seems that industry is not very happy to open, of course, that internal test bed because competition aspects. So and they also, it seems that it is difficult to find a business case for open test beds. But it seems there is some ideas ongoing, but it needs to be worked out. For sure, 5G is going to be heterogeneous, so here is an opportunity for cooperation between projects. If you are talking about FIRE versus 5GPP, or cooperation between FIRE and 5GPP is even more challenging. There is one speaker saying that the best way is to include FIRE partners inside the 5GPP proposals is the best way to cooperate, to be effective. I think that FED4FIRE tools could be a very good instrument, even in 5GPP, to federate heterogeneous test beds. And also, in terms of international cooperation, I think there is a common objective from 5GPP and PHY to go in a global scale. I think here there is also room for cooperation. I just gave the example of the millimeter waves propagation model that are still missing. But the propagation in Japan is the same than in US and the same. So the physical laws are the same. So you have here a good I think, opportunity to have international cooperation along these millimeter waves. And with this I conclude. I don't have nothing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Then we went to the third block of presentations and discussion, taking up the earlier parts, but focusing more on the role of testbeds in the overall roadmap of FIRE towards 2020, taking into account developments in Internet of Things and 5G. And Ingrid Moerman was the moderator of the session. Could you share us your thoughts?
Can I stay here? Okay. So this is what I remember mainly from the discussion. I understood that building testbeds should be driven by application purposes. The verticals must be included, and it should not just be driven by interoperability. Today, interoperability is not really considered as a big issue because standardization is done by a few big players that cover maybe 90% of the targeted industry. However, with Internet of Things, which has many small players, interoperability may be a bit more difficult. There was a further discussion on standardization where the conclusion was that flexibility is key because standardization sometimes takes too long in Europe, and US is often the winner just because Europe is too slow. Then there was also a discussion on the open testbeds, that the main concern there is that industry doesn't like so much open testbeds because it's hard to secure experiments. It's like open data. And then I also understood that for the testbeds, which are the relevant testbeds for 5G or Internet of Things, it will be the ones that have impact and that have a good visibility, meaning that it is important that the relevant features can be demonstrated, the features that are relevant for industry. This is not all, there was more, but this is what I mainly remember.
Okay, thank you very much.
Cool.
Thank you very much. Very good summary, I think. And then finally, we went into internationalization. It will be a topic tomorrow in the Japan, of course. Important issues like standardization were covered, and Martin was the moderator of that session.
At the beginning, I liked Per's comment that international dimension is becoming more important, and I think we saw that through the presentations in the session. We saw very practical demonstrations of collaboration with China, with South Africa, with Japan, with Brazil, with the US. I think we saw that it was not just paperwork collaboration, but it was really building pilots and joint application demonstrations, so real practical work. And then also we saw in Francisco's presentation how the 5G initiative is not only bilateral, but it's becoming a global initiative now, where all countries are getting together to discuss the 5G aspects. And then probably finally on the standardization issue, we heard going back in history how perhaps the experimentation part diverged a little bit from the standardization activities, but we also saw some ways in which these could be brought back together again, and something to think about for the future, how we link the work that we're doing in research and experimentation into standardization work.
Okay, thank you very much, Martin. And with this, we are coming to an end. We are thinking about the next forum already a little bit. It's maybe too early to really define the key topic of that forum. There are different thoughts. We could take a second look into the area of fire becoming an infrastructure at urban and regional level. So the topic of smart cities, smart regions could come in again with the living labs thinking. So how to relate test beds and living lab thinking, how to bring that on the next level. That is one area of topics. It might also be interesting to take a second look to users of test beds, especially in industries that are not really yet in the picture of fire, if I'm right. For example, advanced manufacturing in other sectors. So these are just some thoughts, and if you would have thoughts as an audience, please come up with your ideas. It's still open. And with this, I just looking to the audience if there are some final thoughts or ideas that you would share with us, or questions to speakers or moderators. And if not, I think we could close the meeting for today. I would like to thank all of you, also especially the speakers and moderators, and I wish you a good travel back home, or see you tomorrow in the EU Japan meeting. Thank you very much.